Well, good morning. It's Longhaultanker, straight razor shaving with Longhaultanker, and today is Tuesday, the 7th of February, 2023 at approximately 10:50 Central Time in the morning, and we got home last night. Well, no, I'll tell more about that later. So if you're watching me on YouTube, I say thank you, and let me make a little adjustment here. Thank you for joining me and watching this video. Hit the like and subscribe button. Leave a comment if you wish. And then, of course, go on over to the Shaving Cadre, www.theshavingcadre.com. And I'll put a verbal note, stick tag here. And you won't find a finer, more collegial group of wet shavers, straight shavers on the internet than you will find at the Shaving Cadre. Led by a fellow by the name of Barber Dave. On YouTube, you'll find him under handle Barber Dave, and others that make videos from time to time and post them up both at YouTube and at the Shaving Cadre. We've got Major Rich, and we've got Rich Blout. You will find him under, and I'll put a description for each one of these that I mention in the description box below. And so Nurse Dave and Bill M and the Cutthroat Journey, Shooting the Shave, Scuttle Soap, Spider, and last but not least, Lukey 3262, also known as Matt. And so with that all said, go on over there and take a look. I think you'll enjoy the conversations that are all going on over there. Let me go ahead and introduce the equipment for this morning, using one of my just absolute favorite razors. It's the Taylor Eyewitness, and it says Barber, Taylor's Master Barber in gold on the front of the blade, and you'll see the logo and stamp on the tang, and there's nothing on the back. And this is just a lovely razor. I've got it honed up. This is a Sheffield razor, of course. Post 1891, says Sheffield, England on the tang. And I've got this honed and finished on the Belgian yellow Coticule. It has replacement scales that were done by, they were done in, I don't remember the exact number, but it's that synthetic material, G something. They're starting to stain. It's been at least 6 years since this was done. It had horrible black plastic scales on it when I bought it. And the rescaling was done by GS6 Gun, also known as Glenn. And we appreciate that work he did for us those years ago. Very elegant, shaped and styled sort of thing. I was trying to imitate the ivory look, and the staining is kind of going along with that. I don't know if they'll get as smoky orange as ivory can get, but there's that. And I'm going to do something a little different and special. You'll see here in a minute. But for the soap this morning, we're using Zingari Man's Navigator. I made some comments over, a thread came up about what your favorite soaps were in 2022, and I made a comment. I went through several, of the Martin de Condre and Sterling soaps and A&E soaps, and I said, well, I'll save Zingari Man and a couple others for later that I'll talk about. I've got 5 Zingari Man soaps, and I have not yet been able to get to them in order and rotation to take with me on the road to actually use them very much. So I use them. I go out of order, and because I want to, and use them at home. But so that's the lid. That's the cover for that. Let me dump that down there, but I'm going to do something a little bit different. And so this is my iPad, of course, and there's the Zingari Man Navigator there. And let's scroll up a little bit, get to the wording. Sandy-footed step by sandy-footed step, a man walks along the sun-wooden planks of a dock. The wind carries a bright and fruity sweetness that mingles with the salt swimming in the waves. In the man himself, these scents meet a figure steadfast but welcoming, determined but free and ready to push off. They are embraced by a warm and musky heart. In this aquatic fragrance, we seek to invoke not only the spirit of the sea, but the man who carries that spirit as a part of him, the navigator. And then it says top notes: bergamot, dew fruit, ozone, water, lemon, heart of the soap, I guess, dry grass, ozone, lily of the valley, jasmine, and the base is ambergris, musk, soft woods, and green florals. The Zingari Sago Tallow Soap base is guaranteed to impress you with its elite level slickness, residual cushion glide, and a unsurpassed post-shave feel. The post-shave face feel is where it shines most. A luxurious post-shave is important for your overall skin health and impacts the way your skin feels for the entire day. And so, since I'm home and I've got nothing but time, I thought I would. And there's a lot of the videographers, the shavers online, spend a lot of time talking about scents and so forth, and I know nothing about them and probably care even a little less, but at least reading the website will, if you're watching this and have an interest. It is a tallow-based soap. I'm expecting great things of this. I have used it before, but I just don't remember it since I got it back in the spring. And I have been a little disappointed in some of the, not the Sterling soaps, but some of the others that I've gotten this year that have great fragrances, but the lathering qualities were not up to expectation. Sterling's never ceased to disappoint me on lathering qualities. Some scents are better than others, but that's just the way things are. Having a nice cup of community coffee, cafe special, in my Hyatt Regency Lake Tahoe resorts, spas, and casinos. And you may remember that my wife and I were over there back in, September, October. All right. And then for the brush, my first shave home, I almost always go with the I can't remember. The people have the stores in Las Vegas and Los Angeles and Houston, and they make the fine sandalwood soap. Anyway, this is their brush, 24 millimeter premium Silvertip Badger set in nickel, and I'll think of their name in a little bit. All right, let's get started. Put a hot rag on my face again. I did one before I started up. I got one trucking story I'm going to present, and a shaving story I'm going to present. Maybe two along that same line, but now, something I've often said, I don't remember so much having said it recently, but and that is, I'm just a truck driver on the road who loves straight razor shaving. I have no commercial interest in anything I do. All the equipment that you see me use, I've purchased myself with my own money, hard-earned money as a truck driver. You know, I got a safety bonus yesterday, which kind of leads to something I'm going to talk about. And so, unless I otherwise specify, I was presented with a Christmas gift by Scuttle Soap, and he sent me a vintage razor that he honed up as a part of the Rudolph gift exchange at the Shaving Cadre. But unless otherwise, you know, I have purchased everything myself. Anything I've not purchased myself, I will tell you. I have no financial interest in anybody's business or their own particular emphasis in the hobby of straight razor shaving. No financial interest. I have no personal relationship. Insofar as I know, of course, I haven't done a genealogy on everybody. I'm being a little bit of a smart patoot by saying that, but it's true as far as I know. And so my opinions are my own. And if you don't like them, change the channel. I'm up to almost 270 or over 270 subscribers now, and for that, I very much say thank you. All right, let's rub some of this in. I did not have a shower this morning. I have about 2.5 days of Whisker go. Last shave was on Saturday, and it was recorded, and it's the previous one to this one. Very pleasant set. As I get going here, I will see if I can detect some of the scents that they made mention of on the website. But that's an easy thing to do. I'll be happy to do that. Read it from the website. As I'm rubbing it on my face, and now I'm rubbing it off my hand, getting the excess off my hand so I can put the little bit of dab there back on the brush. Very slick, very slick. Almost hate to wash that off. But I've got plenty whipped up here. Well, I spent the night before last in Carthage, Texas, a little country town north of Nacogdoches. And they built a brand new Love's truck stop up there that recently opened. And I thought, what a great place, because when you come up out of Houston, depending upon what time of day you leave, the Love's truck stop at Greenwood, Shreveport, is 4.5 hours from Houston, and that's kind of where I stop for the first night whenever I leave Houston. And this little new one, it's got plenty of parking, in Carthage is about 40 miles south and west. And I thought, you know, when you're coming back from long distances, sometimes you wish you could get a little further down the road, and there's not a Love's, of course, if you know, there's not a Love's truck stop until you get to Lufkin. But you may not have enough, you know, if you started the day in Matthews, Missouri, or in Ina, Illinois, you may not have enough time on your drive clock to get down to Lufkin. So if you want to stop at a Love's, you got to stop at the one at Greenwood. Shreveport. And, you know, okay, then that puts you 4.5 hours back to Houston for the next morning, and you get in about noon, and that's all fine and good. And so it serves as the new one at Carthage serves as a great place to, you can bypass Shreveport on the way back to Houston and get on down there to Carthage, and it just gets you that little bit closer for the drive in on the next morning. You're at about 3 hours and 45 minutes instead of 4.5 hours from Greenwood, Shreveport. And so I got into the yard yesterday morning about 11:30. And I had determined my medical card, my DOT medical certification card expires on March the 4th. I carry a 1-year card, not a 2-year card, if that means anything to you guys. I do take certain medication and had a procedure on my heart back in 2004. Don't worry, I'm fine. I've always been fine. It was a non-event then, it's a non-event now, but oh my God, the doctors are having palpitations. And so I gotta have an angioplasty. Anyway, that's all that is. And never had a heart attack, never had a stroke. But my doctor says I was close. Okay, you say so. So, do I credit the procedure with perhaps extending my life? Yes, my own brother, about 2 years younger than he passed away about 3 years ago with heart complications and other complications. But anyway, I won't go any more into that. All right, let's get on with this shave. So now, having been through this process of DOT medical card recertification, DOT physical, having been through this process every year for the last 10 years especially, I know what they want. I know what they require. I carry copies of my essential medical records with me so that when I go for a DOT physical, I don't get rejected because I don't have a recent or valid cardio stress test results. Well, here it is, doc. Yeah, take a copy of it. You're welcome to it. And so I keep all that stuff, EKG, the latest. And so I'm required to have a fresh stress test and EKG every 2 years. I was going to go this year, but I couldn't get the doctor's appointment and the insurance coverage to line up. The last one I had was last March the 21st. I had to wait until then, but that was after my medical card expired on March the 4th, and the insurance wasn't going to cover it until we got past March the 21st. And I said, well, I've got one that's valid from last year, so that shouldn't matter. And sure enough, when I got over there to start doing and I gave them a copy of it and got in with the doctor or the PA, physician's assistant. I said that just take note that was done last year, and I know that it has to be within the last 2 years. And yeah, you're right, she said, and accepted my document, and all, all's well and good. I got my new card. And she had me do a bunch of tricks. Bend over, stand up, bend backwards, touch my toes. The part of the test that I really hate is the what they call the forced whisper test. The guy stands behind you, or gal, and does a forced whisper, calls out numbers, you repeat them back. Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. You know, repeat the numbers, and so you repeat the numbers. And so as I said, look, I know I've got, and I've been doing this for years too. I got ringing in my ears. I got undiagnosed tinnitus. That is to say, I've never been to a doctor and gotten a hearing test and become an official part of my medical record, which means everything. A part of the official record, according to these. You know, this is all DOT driven, federal regulation driven. And because I know the difference, and the regulations state, because I know the difference between a male voice and a female voice in the register of the human voice, I request a male voice. It's harder to hear, even under the best of circumstances. It's harder to hear a higher pitched voice if you got ringing in your ears, but you can request a male voice, and that's acceptable. And so I did, and the guy came over, and the lady, when I asked it, she said, yeah, that's fine. We can do that for you. Okay, good. And the regulations are very specific too on a forced whisper test. No more than 5 feet away, which means you got to be within, or, you know, well, no more than 5 feet. It doesn't mean you have to be at 5 feet. You can be 2 feet, but not to exceed 5 feet. And so he said, I just want you to call back the numbers. He said some numbers. You know, and there's always that individual interpretation of what a forced whisper is. Can you turn that up a little bit, please? What I don't want is to have some knothead determine that I've got to have an audio, you know, put the headset on, get in the sound booth, you know, can you hear that? I don't want that, because my blood pressure goes up, my ears start ringing worse. And I just start pushing the button. Boop, 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 boop. So the guy calls out the numbers, and I repeat them back, had no problem hearing them. And when he got done and I turned around, he said, so you ever think about getting hearing aids? I said, are you kidding? At $10,000? No, I'm not getting hearing aids until it's absolutely necessary. And he said, what? He said, but you can hear okay? And I said, I heard you, didn't I? And he busted up. Yeah, I guess you did. So I got my new medical card and I'm good for another year. Then I got to do it all over again. And, whoops. And so then after that, I went back to the yard to turn in a copy of the new medical card to my terminal manager, my safety manager. And last year, the company came out with a policy, and I don't want to hit this too hard because it's specific to the company, that they were no longer going to take responsibility for taking the new medical card and sending it off to the Texas DOT and get it registered and certified. And what they do is they electronically attach it to your CDL license. So when the officer pulls it up, after he's pulled you over, he can see that you're properly certified with a valid medical certification card. Okay, good. So our company was going to stop doing that. And I went to my safety manager last year and I said, this is crazy. I said, you guys do it all the time. You know the process and procedure, and you're asking a truck driver who can barely drive a truck, tongue in cheek, some, to take responsibility for an electronic transaction on a computer. And I said, I could probably figure it out, but I'm only doing it once a year. You know, what's my retention on that? Whereas you guys have been doing dozens of these things every day. You know the process and procedure, you know how it works. And so my buddy, my safety manager buddy, he said, just bring it to me and I'll take care of it for you. Yeah, okay, that's what I want to hear. So by the time I got done with my physical and went back over to the terminal, it was about 3:30. No, it was about 2:30. Because I left to go home at 3:30. And as I walked into his office, he was packing up his bag to get ready to go home. He comes in awfully early anyway, and so that's fine. And I said, can you take care of this? And he said, yeah, I'll take care of it. Let me make a copy of it and I'll set it on my desk. And I said, and I happened to notice, I walked back to his office, that the terminal manager was sitting in the next office over, right up against the wall. I mean, he's not 2 feet away through the wall. Is sitting right there. I said, how about if I let him take care of it? And he says, well, he knows how to do it. He can if you want to, or I can do it tomorrow morning. And so he walks out of his office getting ready to go, and I'm following him. He stops to speak to the terminal manager. And of course, his comments to me were in keeping with last year's policy change that we don't do it anymore. So my buddy's already left. I'm left holding the piece of paper, and he says he's not going to do it. I wasn't happy. But I didn't, there are people you can say things to and people you can't say things to. And I remembered at home that the letter from the Department of Transportation, Texas Department of Transportation, was still sitting on my side table. And I called my wife and I said, is that still sitting there? And she said, yeah, I haven't moved it. And I remember that the instructions on how to send it back to the Texas Department of Transportation were written on that letter. And I told my wife what was going on, and she said, well, it's here. And so I got home, and the real trick of it is, I say trick, there's no trick to it. You take your cell phone, you bring up the camera, you take a picture of the new medical card, you attach the picture, has to be in PDF format. And you have to, then you send it as an email to a certain email address. And there were no specific instructions on how, any tagline or anything in the body, any actual typed text, but I put in medical card certification. That's all I did. So I sent it off. And within 10 minutes, I got a confirmation that they've received it, it's being processed, blah, blah, blah. And the reason that my terminal manager said that they don't do it anymore is he said that 80% of the ones that they were sending off were being rejected, were not transmitting through. And then mine just, like that. So I said, I just start doing this myself and relying on other people, and especially last year when this came up, I gave it to my safety buddy. He took care of it. There was no question. Yes, this is the new policy, but if you got an issue, just bring it back. We'll take care of it. All right, I'm going to terminate that subject and move on to the next one because I'm going to be a little presumptuous here and direct my comments to what's about, to my friend Bill M., who is recently shaved off his mustache and goatee, and he's trying to get the strokes down around his mustache and goatee. Now, I've already done my first pass, as you have seen, but that's pretty straightforward because typically, most people do something like what I did. They start when they do the mustache, they start here and they come down and work their way around the right side, and maybe they'll stay with the right hand and do a little bit down the left side like I do, you know. And so that's what most people do, and that's a typical approach to the first pass in the mustache area. Now what I'm about to do, of course, is the second pass, and I'm going to be coming sideways with my left hand across my right face, and you know, smooth strokes, light strokes, but I'm going to start over here, and I've noticed that Barber Dave does pretty much the same kind of thing, and the razor just kind of rolls with the contour of the face and the jawline. In the cheek area. So there's that. Now that's not so much where I want to go with this. I want to focus on the mustache and the chin area, and make it smooth, make it glide, make it and stretching is so important here as well. Now I'm going to start right here and go straight into the corner of the mouth. My razor is almost flat against my face. And just rotate, I do a little rotating thing here to get the upper part of my lip. Get right up into the nostril. That's where the barber's notch comes in. Keep it taut. Now you can stop there if you want to and approach it then when you're doing the other side. Or you can just keep going across like I often do. You can do the open mouth at this point if you want to. You're coming down. Come back to the other side if you want, and then do the open mouth on the right side. And that's that. Now I'm going to do the chin. And there's not much to do there. You can start back up if you want to and come down into it. Get that little bit of but it's mostly the mustache area that I wanted to, and I'll do it again from this side. I'm gonna get down here now with my left hand. And the only reason I take presumption in calling Bill's name and making reference to his recent shaving in those areas is because, you know, you want to help a guy, right? And Bill's the one that introduced the shaving cadre to me. And I've enjoyed every minute of being there. And the repartee that in the Zoom calls and you know, you make good friends. You know, Bill's the kind of guy that if he was ever to come to Houston, he's already invited me many a time to, next time I'm in the Harrison or Harrisburg, Pennsylvania area, or where the truck stops are, Carlisle, to let him know, and somehow or another we'll get together. But I just haven't been there, or for at least for very long. But I look forward to that occasion when we can. All right, let's do the bottom of the neck. Oh, that feels great. I got some more news I want to share with you here in just a little bit, but I want to get past the right hand across the grain by the mustache and make commentary before I go into that part of the discussion. Because to me, it's exciting. And it's what Steve Bannon would call burying the lead. And this is what I will be going into is actually the lead story. But it is not the lead story because I buried the lead. I did that because I wanted to sip a coffee. Okay. The soap is quite slick. I'm having a little difficulty getting a taut pull, stretch on the skin. I've learned my lesson with the alum block doing that. Yes, it'll do it, but you've got to wash the face off. You've got to wash your fingers off cleanly from the alum, because if any alum gets on that razor, you may very well end up with a alum stain. And I saw another shaver do that recently. And you want to kick yourself because there's no way to get that off. It is, I don't know what it does, the alum potassium or something, it just burns that stain into the steel. In fact, I got the block right here. What the box? And it's all French. I think it's potassium. I don't think it's sodium. But still, sodium, salt, burn, sure, I get it. All right, now I'm going to hit the mustache area, and you're approaching it. And I can do this easier on the right hand. It flows more smoothly than the left hand, just cause. And so I'm going to start about here, and I'm going to glide right down by the nose, right over the mustache. And see, and I can feel, those right up in here. I can feel those pesky whiskers resisting being cut. And so you come at it up into the nostril. You come up at it at an angle. And that's pretty good right there. I will do the fool's pass, but I've got maximum reduction of whiskers by doing it like this, and then with the left hand doing it like this. And I still have my spots like right there and right there, and then a spot over here. And but the fool's pass is less difficult when you get as much whiskers off with the across the grain. Doing as much as you can on the across the grain. All right, let's move to the next color. So, Bill, I hope you take no offense that I called you out in particular. I watch your videos, as you well know, and I know you watch mine. And the only presumption is that I think I can say something that might help you, and I hope it does. And I know, you're a good guy. I don't believe that you're going to take any offense whatsoever. And that's part. Ooh, light flicker. Did you see that? It's a nice day outside. I don't know. Unless the black hats are blowing up the electric grid in Texas. Did I say that? Now, I have been watching, as I suspect many of you have as well, been watching the recent discussions by Bill M. and Jared from the Superior Shave. The TV came back on with that flicker. Now the audio is on. Stand by just a sec. And so, as I say, I suspect you've been watching those discussions by Bill and Jared. And they've been interesting, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail at all. Except to say that, people will reflect what they do or think by the money they spend. And I am proud to say that with that safety bonus money that I was deposited yesterday, I ordered a Dovo Bite from Jared yesterday. Paid full retail price. I didn't even tell him, unless he knew or knows who I am, and I have visited with him in person before. Yes, I'm that truck driver that drove up into your parking lot, Jared, those years ago, and visited with you for a couple of hours. And got a red one, I believe it is. I clicked on the red razor icon, and when I started looking at these a few weeks ago, about 4 or 5 weeks ago, there were like 6 or 8 razors that and if you ever looked at Jared's website with his merchandise, he always very clearly, he'll take a picture of each one. You can pick the one that you want. And there was a limited run on these. That's the thing. And apparently they're all numbered. From what I've heard, those who have bought them say, I got number such and such. There were 500 of these things made from stainless steel blanks found at Dovo warehouse workshop when they moved locations. And so from 1964 was it? 1968? And so back during the height of their glory, here are these blanks from Dovo that show up. And so when I've been talking to my wife for several weeks about buying one of these, and well, not yet. And so when I called yesterday morning, she says, you got your deposit? And I said, well, that's got to be the safety bonus. Well, she said, what is this money? And I said, well, that's got to be the safety bonus. Which was a nice amount. More than sufficient to cover the cost of the razor and so forth. And so I went to looking then. My wife said, well, you can go ahead and get the razor. And I said, okay, great, thanks. and there were only 2 left. I clicked on the link for the red one, Fakabite, and you know, make your select, choose your option or choose your choice, and clicked on that, and there were only 2 razors left. And here's where it gets esoteric. One of the numbers of the 2 was number 107, and there is a mystique. I'll say it that way. That's putting it very vaguely and politely. There is a mystique around the number 107, which I am happy to embrace. And so I said, I got to have that one. If you want to know the mystique around the number, feel free to drop a comment. I'm not going to say anything that's going to get me banned on YouTube, but some topics on YouTube are verboten. All right. So I got an email notification from Jared this morning that, oh, I didn't mention that I also got I paid for the convex honing on the new razor as well. So I'm very anxious to get that razor, to try the edge and maintain that edge. And that's something that I'll talk to Bill about good, proper maintenance on a convex edge without having to go convex all my hones, which I'm not ready to do that. But a strop, or I think I've heard in some of the discussions that even a flat hone and regular stropping for light maintenance is acceptable. So I'm going to find out more about that from Bill. So I've got a Fakabite coming, and I get the mystique and glory of stainless steel from 1960 something. That was recently found. There's the whole idea of having one of 500 ever made. I don't know if there's going to be more made. I do wonder if they found more blanks than just the 500, and they only told us about the 500. Don't know. You know, that's kind of like Ford Mustang. You know, they've kind of discontinued the Ford Mustang and the Shelbys, but now every couple of years or so they're coming out with a special edition. Hey, we got a new Ford Mustang coming out now, and it's super duper special because we've stuck Steve McQueen's name on it or something. Steve McQueen's name on it or something. And so instead of a $35,000 to $40,000 car, we have, and of course I think they discontinued the Coyote engine, and I don't know what engine they're using, and there's another element of it that's going all electric, but the gasoline engines that they're still producing are special editions, and they're charging like, you know, who knows, $80,000, $90,000. I know when the GT500 came out, there are people on the YouTube that I watch Speed Phenom and Stang Mode are two channels that I watch about cars. And I'm not much of a car guy, but I watched them. I was very much wanted to buy in 2019, a Mustang Bullet when they came out with their limited edition. It just wasn't to be. And I priced the difference between the Mustang 5.0 and the Bullet back then, and there was about a $15,000 spread between the two, which was fine. If I was going to buy a Bullet, I would not have mind spending that little bit of extra. But I think that's what Ford is planning to do with the Mustang from here on out until they make the complete conversion over to electric. Funny how in a free enterprise system like the American system has always been that the American public is being denied what they want in favor of the companies abiding by government regulation. Something about that just doesn't sound American. Blood? I didn't see no stinking blood. No, I'm feeling pretty good this morning. Had a good night's sleep. I'm going to have a nice relaxing day today. My wife is working here at home in the home office, our home office. So I'm very much interested in getting that convex edge on the Dovo Bite from Jared. I've never used a convex edge before. You know, I listen to the guys that are using them, and they all say they're great. I think I'm hearing rain hitting the roof. I can't tell by looking outside. You know, my wife loves to cook. Uh-oh, I forgot the name. I think I got it. She got up a few minutes earlier, and she always cooks before I get home, but she got up a few minutes, about 30 minutes before me this morning, and I could hear her rustling around in the kitchen, and she brought me a cup of coffee, you know, and she says, I made something special for breakfast. You ready to get up? I said, sure, give me a few minutes. So I made my way into the dining room. And she had made me some breakfast tacos in soft flour tortillas. They were small ones too, like 4 inches across. And what looked like shredded roast beef, very finely, not regular roast beef, but very finely shredded. And I said, what is it? And she said, just eat it and tell me what you think. It smelled very much like roast beef. When I got it in my mouth, it tasted very much like roast beef, except it was extremely soft and tender. Almost like a brisket soft. Very, a well-cooked brisket. And so I ate the first one, and it was delicious. You know, it had cilantro and tomato and cheese and salsa sauce. And I said, well, what is this? And I may not get this name right. I hope if you know what this is, you'll understand that I mispronounced it maybe. Barakate, I think is what she called it. And if you don't know what barakate is, it's made up of two different kinds of beef meat. The first one is what they call beef cheek. I guess that comes off the face of the cow. And the other one is beef tongue. I had never had beef tongue before. It was made, as I say, in the barakate, barbacate maybe. Maybe it's barbacote, maybe. And so I think I got close enough that I think if you have any idea what it is, you know what it is. But beef cheek and beef tongue. And it's delicious. Absolute. If you like beef, if you like brisket, if you like roast beef, you'll love this. And it's kind of a Spanish thing. The guy that was on the video that my wife showed me was a Hispanic gentleman making this. I don't know if that's unique to Hispanic culture, heritage, etc., but it was delicious. I'm going extra long this morning, and I apologize. I've got a lot of done a lot of talking. I've had things to say. Not the least of which, I got a Dovo bite. This is the first time I bought a razor from Jared. I bought a shaving brush from him once before, VP Leon Hardy, which has its own story for another time. And I've told it before on video. And I think I said I got an email from Jared, kind of one of those automated things, a shipping notification that the order's been shipped. So he must have gotten home from his name tag job, as he likes to call it, last night, and saw that I had and seen that he had an order waiting for him, an order placed. I say I don't know if he knows who I am by name. Oh, Leon in Houston. Yeah, I know. He's that crazy truck driver. Longhaultanker. I know he watches my videos from time to time. He's commented in them. And I appreciate that, Jared. I really do. Thank you much. I remember with fondness the stop that I made there that one time that you'll recall. I'm sure you recall it because you probably have not had many 18-wheelers parked in your parking lot. Jared, I'm coming to see you. Okay. I said, you got enough room in your parking lot? Turn around. Oh, yeah. Just barely. I remember that. Ooh, light posts everywhere in that thing. Get that big old truck and trailer turned around in that parking lot around those light posts was a challenge. All right, let's check the sideburns. And then we're going to come back with the touch-up strokes. And the head shave. I mean, I know. I actually am working on the longest straight razor shave performance. Let's see if I can stretch this into 2 hours. Kidding. No, I'm just not that. Speed is not my purpose, my interest. I want to do a thorough job. I want to do a good job. And maybe it's just my muscle memory motion. I just don't feel compelled to have to rush along. And something I've learned in truck driving, that if you have an attitude or disposition that you just feel like you have to rush everything, you're going to end up dead alongside the road. And I don't want to end up dead alongside the road. Or worse, you take somebody with you. Or worse, you don't go at all. You take somebody out because you were rushing and made a bad judgment. And I have found that going slow, observing rules of safety, Smith's driving system, keeping, give yourself an out. Every position that you find yourself in, and that's constantly changing, you've got to give yourself an out. And you're looking at your mirrors, you're looking to see what's on each side of you. Can I go this way? Can I go that way? If the guy ahead of me stops in an instant, what do I do? But if you keep, for every 10 miles an hour that you're traveling, no, is it 10 miles an hour? One truck length for every 10 miles an hour that you travel, truck length, car length, doesn't matter. Every one vehicle length between you and the vehicle ahead of you. So if you're going 70 miles an hour down the road, there should be 7 lengths between you and the car ahead of you. Of course, that's practically speaking, it's almost too much room because people love to pull in front of a truck. And of course, if you're going 10 miles an hour, that's one vehicle length. Still a 65-foot truck that leaves 65 feet ahead of you. That's still plenty of room for 3 cars to jump in front of you. Yeah, that's pretty daggone good. Very satisfied with that. Very satisfied. A little something down here, but that's... That is nothing new. You rub your face after a good shave like that, and you feel A lot of people will call this cat's tongue. You know how rough a cat's tongue is, and that might be, but after your face calms down and heals up and you put all your post-shave stuff on, you know, you've ever seen, again, Jared, you ever seen him do a shave and he will, I'll be back in a few minutes. And, you know, 20, 30 minutes later, he comes back and says, well, my face has calmed down and it just feels great. And that's what I'm talking about, because all your pores close and all of that cat tongue that you feel down here, it gets sucked back up in the skin, and, you know, that's a good thing. And that's how you get your baby. Of course, we all want it instantly. Yeah, instant gratification, you know. All right, let's do the head shave and close it up. But looking forward to that razor, looking forward to that convex edge. And I get the principle, I get the idea behind it, that the bevel creates its own triangle below the concavity. I say below, of the razor, of the belly of the razor. And so, you know, you come down from the spine, it curves in, then you got this little bump, and then it goes down to the apex. I get that. And what you're doing is that you're reducing the sides of the bump. Below the belly of the concave, full hollow, and as I say, there's a little triangle there, and you're taking off a little bit of that triangle at the widest point, which everybody says, and the theory is that it gives you a smoother shave. And again, I say, I get the logic of that. I really do. And I hear the reviews that other people are saying, you know, smoothest shave, most comfortable shave I've ever had, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't disbelieve them. I do. I also know that there's a lot of work in making concave hone. And if I were retired and at home and had, you know, or even worked a regular 8 to 5 job, you know, and come home from the job and had evening hours at home, I'm not that guy. And so it's probably not something that I'm going to invest the time into learning learning and redo. I'm going to have to buy a special set of hones to do this. I'm not going to do it to any of the existing hones that I have. And so I've got to find out that balance between flat stones and convex hones. You know, I'm sure those are just practical questions that a lot of people have to ask themselves. How far down that hole do I want to go? And I'm not trying to be unpleasant. I'm not trying to be unkind. Because again, I see the theory. And that's, I guess, what I'm, you know, can't we all just get along? Can't we just all? And I am not a denier of the convex method at all. I'm not an agitator for that either. I think we ought to do what we want to do and grant the same freedom to others. You know, I was thinking on this point yesterday as I was driving in to Houston. Courtesy, grace, tolerance. There are some things to be tolerant over and some things not to be tolerant over that have perhaps deep moral implications. And so there was another word, though, that I was thinking of. Well, I kind of blew that because I lost the word. And it's an important word, but it's a word that we don't use much in American vocabulary. And a word that describes mental attitude, and it's kind of like grace. It's kind of like those words, but that's not the word. And I'll think of it, and I'll say something on it when I remember it. I'm using a union razor now, and all of my union razors have been honed up on Arkansas stones. This was probably, because it's got the white handle, this is probably one that I honed up either on a true hard or the translucent. My mind is racing to try and think of that word. And just when you think you've got to have it, that's when it flies away. That's all right. I will remember it. I will make comment on it in the future, or put a little posting at the Shaving Cadre. Hey, this is the word I was thinking about. Or maybe in the YouTube section here on the comments. Hey, this is the word I was thinking about. But, which reminds me slightly, by comparison, Bill Bennett wrote a book years ago about virtues, and and he made the point back then. I remember him being all over the radio. Then he had his own radio program for a while and talked about, we just have forgotten the virtues. And virtues that made this country great, virtues that made humanity great, the virtues that made Western civilization great. It's not that government is broken. It's that the people running it are broken. And they will not stand up for the principles that are embodied in the written documents. And so because they are people of lesser character, they squander their opportunity in the positions that they have by not standing up for the virtues of that office. It's that simple. It's not, government's not broken, the people are broken. And it's a sad thing. And you want to play that rant? Go ahead. Maybe I'll be on Bannon tomorrow. Oh, I had the good occasion, now that I think about it, now that I said, I've had the good occasion to talk to Bannon twice before, when he was running the radio program a few years ago. But it was always in the early hours, you know, that program, Central Time, used to start at 5 in the morning. and I am often driving by 5 in the morning and would have the both the interest and the opportunity, subject matter, what he's talking about. Of course, I'm sure I remember that more significantly than he does. He doesn't know who I am. And that's, that's the way it always is when you talk to somebody famous. All right, that feels good enough. I don't look at myself in the camera as much when I'm doing the head shave, as much as I'm looking at my head, and so I don't always know, rarely know, what the picture looks like on the screen. So I'm hopeful that this is of interest. And last time I asked this question, you all said that keep on with the head shave, which I'm happy to do. On camera, that is. Record it, post it up. We're going to do a little refinement section here in a minute, powder bomb included. I think we're done. Wipe the razor off. Set it aside over here, both of them. Get them out of the way. Well, you know what? Let's set them over here, because I don't want the powder to get all over them. I'm gonna drop the brush down in the water, let it soak for the duration. Yeah, it looks real nice. Just a couple more. Strokes down there. All right. Thayer's lavender with all of its aloe vera goodness. I'm going to let all that soapy water out. We got some Lucky Tiger, face tonic, aloe vera, calendula, and chamomile. And why, you ask? Because I want to. I love that scent. Absolutely love that scent. All right. Aftershave, an old, I don't even know if they make this anymore, but Gillette Storm Force. This has been sitting, and I've got, you can see how much I've got left in the bottle. And I've been holding this for 20 years. It's been in my closet easily 20, 25 years. Move my coffee over here, put a rag over it so Clubman Panade or Panade Clubman powder. Synthetic brush. What was the name of that company? It used to have a number on it, 17 something. And beauty, the very fine, very silken sort of synthetic. But I just don't use the synthetics for face lathering. I put some powder in there this morning, but there it comes. Okay. That's it. Thank you for joining me. Longhaultanker here, wishing you the very best of wet shaving and straight razor shaving. And next shave will probably be Thursday morning if I'm still home, which I expect to be. But y'all have a good day, and I will see you down the road.